Sure. Thanks a lot for that. Well, here's an interesting new poll. It's from Siena College, and it shows that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has wasted no time in becoming deeply unpopular among voters in her home state of New York. A total of 33% of those polled said they liked Ocasio-Cortez. A whopping 44% did not. How did someone who's been in Congress only a few months turn off so many people and so quickly? Well, the Congresswoman has a ready answer for that, as she does for most things. As she explained on Twitter, Republicans, working in concert with that dastardly Fox News, quote, otherize and demonize anyone who isn't, quote, a white male. In other words, it's bigotry, pure and simple. Those may look like bad poll numbers. What they really are is racism. Now, it's possible you will scoff at this explanation. It is whiny and predictable and totally self-serving. It's also unsupported by evidence. So skepticism is a fair response. But let's go a little deeper for a second. What we have here is not simply a cynical excuse for personal failings, one we've heard 1,000 times from politicians, racism. What Ocasio-Cortez has given us instead is a litmus test for our souls. It's simple. When you agree with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you are a good person. When you disagree with her, you are not. You're a racist, a bigot, a hater, a loathsome human being. Got that? Okay. Prepare for the exam. We're not proctoring this test. We're on TV right now, and you're at home or in a bar. We're going to have to use the honor system here. We're going to play you a series of clips. Now, be honest about how you feel about them. Everything hangs in the balance. First, we're going to consider AOC's views on children. She doesn't have any, and there's a reason for that. She cares too much. Her heart is too big. Watch her explain.
Our planet is going to face disaster if we don't turn this ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. You know, is it okay to still have children?
Is it okay to still have children? That is AOC's question to you. Now, if you answered, are you kidding? Of course it's okay to have children. And by the way, back off, you authoritarian creep. How many kids I have is none of your business. If you answered that way, you failed the test. You're probably a white supremacist. If, on the other hand, you paused for a moment, thought deeply about climate change, and realized that actually some unmarried 29-year-old member of Congress probably should be in charge of your childbearing decisions, then congratulations, you passed. You are virtuous, not a racist at all. Okay, on to number two. This one's about food.
My Twitter mentions, I'm getting a lot of references about cow farts. And I think that's a reference to your Green New Deal.
Yeah.
Can you explain that for us?
We got to address factory farming. Maybe we shouldn't be eating a hamburger for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So the question is, how many hamburgers should you be allowed to eat in the course of a day? Now, there are two possible answers here. The first is, huh? What kind of question is that? Isn't this America? And hey, stop eating off my plate. That, unfortunately, is the racist answer. It's the one that Bull Connor would have given if he were still alive enough to eat Big Macs. The correct answer is, I will eat exactly as many hamburgers as Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez allows me to eat, and I will be grateful for them. If that was your response, congratulations to you. You are a good person. Now to number three. This one's about immigration.
Those women and children trying to come here with nothing but the shirts on their back to create an opportunity and to provide for this nation are acting more in an American tradition than this president is right now.
So the question is, who is more American, actual Americans or foreigners who spit on our customs and mock our laws by sneaking into our country illegally and calling us racist if we try to make them leave? This is a tough one. Keep thinking. Okay, time's up. The answer is illegal aliens are the real Americans. Duh. If you doubted that for a second, please hate yourself. You deserve it. And now for the final question on our test. This one is the Daily Double. See how you do.
Criticisms of you is that your math is fuzzy. The Washington Post recently awarded you 4 Pinocchios.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
Factually correct. Now, this question gets right to the heart of it all. Are you one of those troglodytes who still cares about facts? About numbers and evidence and physical reality? It's 2019, man. Physics is just a preference. if you persist in being factually correct and continue to read books, speak in complete sentences, please know that you are committing racism. You, sir, are a bigot. And Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez condemns you. She, by contrast, is morally right and utterly certain of it. On this test, that is all that matters. Lisa Booth is a senior fellow at Independent Women's Voice. By the way, I should note that a second ago, and this is a reflection of the generosity of the spirit of this show. We said that Ocasio-Cortez was admired by 33% of New Yorkers. Actual number 31%. So we gave her 2 points just because we're nice.
Also,
how'd you do on that test?
I failed your test.
You did.
I did.
You're a bad person, Lisa Booth.
I know. I hope my parents aren't watching. I'm a terrible person. I feel. Well, and Tucker, what's hilarious is the Siena College poll that you referenced. President Trump is actually more popular with New Yorkers right now than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is. So I found that little tidbit interesting as well. And it turns out, Tucker, Gallup also had a poll on March 15th, which found that her unfavorable ratings have increased by 15 points since the last poll they did in September 2018. And the reason being is that the more Americans find out about her, the less they like her. The more that they get to know her, the more that they form an opinion on her, the less likely they are to like her. Because back in September 2018, 50% of Americans didn't know who she was. They hadn't formed an opinion of her. Now that number is down to 29%. So it turns out people actually don't like her the more they hear from her or the more they get to know her.
Wait a second. You already told me that you failed our test. So why shouldn't I suspect that you're just being defensive and trying to pass the buck?
Well, I could say that you could go to the Gallup poll and look it for yourself, because that's what the Gallup poll found. But, you know, Tucker, look at it this way. I think a lot of Americans don't like the fact that she went out. She was at an event last month and told people, her critics, I'm the boss. This is a 29-year-old member of Congress. She's a freshman, mind you, telling people that if you don't agree with her, she's the boss. This is someone who holds, you know, quite frankly, kind of dumb ideas. When you look at her support for the Green New Deal and the document that she put out, I think most Americans don't want to give economic security to people who are unwilling to work. I think most Americans don't look at cow farts as some sort of imminent problem that's coming up here. And I think most Americans...
Correction. Most Americans are just racist if they don't like AOC. She has said that. You know, she'd be an interesting person if she wasn't just so self-involved and dumb. It's a shame. Lisa Booth, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tucker.
For coming on tonight. Well, a month ago, the press speculated that the White House conspired with, who knows,